99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio. This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Under the provisions of the production sharing agreement with ESSO, free oil given to the operator works out to be more generous than the taxes and royalty being lost through the provisions in that contract. The findings were documented in an oil sector analysis penned by Chartered Accountant and Attorney at Law Christopher Ram. Describing the provision as generously misleading, Ram posited that Article 14.1 is more generous than the taxation and royalty article by allowing deduction from gross production, the fuel equivalent used not only in the contract area. He suggested at the time, with our petroleum people showing a frightening mix of unwillingness to learn with an apparent inability to learn, the agreement sets us up for a very lopsided arrangement. In other news, the long-awaited contract for a 4-lane road link between Ogle on the east coast of Demerara and Eccles on the east bank of Demerara was signed on Friday. The contract, valued $106.4 million was signed at Ogle yesterday by the Ministry of Public Works Permanent Secretary Vladim Broussard and Ashish Kataria, Director of Ashoka Buildcon Limited, the contracted company. The project is being financed through a loan provided by the Indian Export-Import Bank. In other news, the 2019 report for the National Extractive Industries Extractive Initiative in Nigeria had revealed that 77 oil companies operating in the country had attempted to rip off the federal government of $30.3 billion in tax and royalty payments. The debt was uncovered following an investigation to ascertain payments due to the country. As such, according to Nigerian media reports, the House of Representatives in March 2022 asked oil and gas companies with outstanding debts owed to the federal government to present evidence of taxes, royalties, and levies. They had even threatened legal action if the oil companies had failed to comply. Meanwhile, the country's local content secretariat has not disclosed why it recently denied Trinidadian divested oil and gas support company, Ramps Logistics, its local content certificate. But arguments around the Guyanese-linked partner not being Guyanese enough are already making the rounds. Ramps Logistics reported 2 days ago that the livelihoods of some 400 workers are at risk, since it was refused a local content certificate to operate within the oil and gas sector. It was discovered that Rams was fined $20 million by GRA for failing to seek clearance for one of its motor vessels to depart Guyana with cargo, and this could have contributed to the issue the company currently faces. Meanwhile, as the country awaits the commencement of the Commission of Inquiry into the 2020 elections, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal says all matters surrounding the fact-finding process will be ironed out on the return of President Ali, who is currently out of the country on official state business. The Attorney General said that at the time of the announcement, President Ali was preparing to leave the country. As such, the announcement was made, as promised, a week earlier, and on his return, the President will deal with these matters, Nandlal related. And moving on, while voices in civil society believe that the opposition must take a stand against corruption in the country, they are equally dissatisfied with the joint party's hasty rush to protest, calling for the vice president's resignation over the Sioux revelation, while Guyana is being robbed millions silently every day by the oil companies operating in Guyana. One such advocate is economist Raymond Gaskin, who does not agree with its silence on matters pertaining to the oil and gas sector. According to Gaskin, the opposition leader must play a more active role in the oil and gas sector and the country's economy. Echoing his view was another member of civil society, Dr. Yog Bahadio, who is also a member of an advocacy group, Article 13. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and of course 99.5 FM. This is your news at noon. We'll take a short break and return.
Go loud or go home. Never miss out on your favorite local radio segments, local and international podcasts, and DJ mixes.
That's right.
With the Go Loud app. Discover podcasts like Common Sense, Red Table Talk, The Breakfast Club, and the best mixes from DJs worldwide, and much more. Stream all of your favorite local radio stations in one app. Go loud on what matters to you. Download the Go Loud app in the App or Play Store today and start listening.
Welcome back. Let us continue with your news. Region 2 police are yet to solve the mystery behind the death of an Essequibo hunter, Bharat Ramdihal, who was reportedly killed on April 30th last by a single gunshot wound to the stomach while on a hunting trip in the Bethany Backlands along the Essequibo coast in Region 2. Police had arrested 2 loggers who had accompanied Ramdihal on the trip but were later forced to release them from custody because they were not yet able to solve his case. However, according to the police commander of the district, Shiv Prasad Bacchus, they still have to report to the police on a weekly basis until further notice. And now let's tell you, the Ministry of Education is moving ahead with the reconstruction of the North Rhineville Secondary School following a fire on June 19th last year, which destroyed the entire upper flat of the main teaching building. According to the ministry's engineer estimate, to reconstruct the building, it would cost some $622.3 million. During the opening of the tenders at the National Procurement and Tender Administration Board office on Thursday, 9 companies were recorded as having submitted bids for the contract. Meanwhile, on July 15, 2022, GCOM court case in which several persons were charged criminally for allegedly trying to rig the March 2, 2020 elections will continue in Georgetown Magistrates Courts. Those charged include PNC Chairperson Valda Lawrence, former GCOM Region 4 Returning Officer Claremont Mingo. The others are APNU-FC activist Carl Smith-Joseph, GCOM's Information Technology Officer Enrico Livin, and GCOM clerks Michelle Miller, Sheffrin February, and Dennis Bob Cummings. And now for the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. Guyanese must benefit from what's theirs. Guyana, the land of many waters and much wealth, has been elevated to the center stage, being a magnet to the rest of the world. Everyone wants to see Guyana and take a piece of Guyana as well, it would seem. The country is being fed crumbs by the oil company, which is barely handing us 2% royalty with one hand and taking it back with the other. How many ways will we be shafted? Our laws allow for the people of this country to at least get some money to buy bread for their family, as they provide services for the oil sector and even supply goods. As such, the Guyanese people must be the beneficiaries. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Are you a Kaieteur newspaper advertiser? Well then, we have great news for you. Kaieteur Radio presents a 50% discount on all radio advertisements only for a limited time. To advertise, contact us on 225-8465 or 226-7455 or email us at kaieteurradioads@gmail.com. You can even visit our office at 24 Saffron Street, Charlestown, Georgetown. Kaieteur Radio, covering you from coast to coast.
Meet Terence and Shabana. Both believe they've been exposed to COVID-19 and were advised by the Ministry of Health to quarantine themselves at home. It's a normal working day and Terence grows tired of home quarantine guidelines. So he heads off to work using public transportation. Now all the passengers and his co-workers are in danger of contracting COVID-19 from Terence. After work, Terence heads straight to the gym for daily exercise. He shares the same exercise equipment with many others that day. Later on that evening too, Terrence heads off to play several rounds of dominoes with some friends. By breaking the quarantine rules, Terrence has endangered the lives of the passengers, his co-workers, members of his gym, and his friends with whom he played dominoes. By contrast, Shabana practices social distancing. She works from home every day, and in the evenings, she video chats with her family and friends to stay connected. Shabana is also obeying all the guidelines that the Ministry of Public Health says we follow when quarantined at home. Shabana has infected no one. Let's all do our part and practice physical and social distancing by avoiding unnecessary travels and staying home from large groups of people, including our families and friends. A message from the Ministry of Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO. For more information, visit our website at www.health.gov.gy or visit our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter page.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to